Welcome back. As we get closer to summer, we will see higher temperatures reaching close to 90 degrees. Meteorologist Jackson Chastain talks about humidity this week in WeatherWise.
Meteorologist Jackson Chastain here with the latest edition of WeatherWise. Today we talk heat index. We are getting closer and closer to those 90-degree temperatures, 90 and muggy that we typically experience during the summer. Now, typically there's two different conditions that you can be under when you're hot outside. Now, one of them can be low humidity. The other could be high humidity. Now, in that low humidity situation, those are times where you don't have a lot of moisture in the air. As a result, when your body starts to sweat, that sweat starts to evaporate off into the air, and that cools your body down. Now, that's typically what's supposed to happen. Now, what doesn't happen is when you have high humidity situations and you don't get a lot of moisture out that's evaporating off your body because there's already so much moisture in the air. So think about it as the bank is full, you can't add more money to it, you can't add more moisture to the air, so that just kind of sits on your skin. And what happens when it sits on your skin is that body heat is just escaping into that sweat, and it's just sitting on your body still, so you're not actually really losing any heat. And what happens in these situations where it's really hot and it's really muggy is it can feel very, very uncomfortable outside. Now, again, that's when it gets into the 90s typically. Now, when it's in the 70s or the 80s and you have increasing humidity, that really doesn't do all too much in terms of making you in danger for a heat stroke or heat exhaustion. But as we increase those temperatures further into the 90s, into the low 90s, that takes a drastic increase by just increasing the relative humidity by, just a few percentage points. You can get to a place where if you're outside for long periods of time, if you're straining yourself, if you're undergoing a lot of physical effort outside, that can put you at risk for heat exhaustion and heat-related illness. So that's always something to watch out for, and I definitely recommend if you are outside on these days when the heat index is high, that being you have high heat, you have high humidity, you have that bad combination going on right there. It's always good to make sure that you're not leaving pets or your kids or anybody in a car alone when you go somewhere. That's a no-no. Make sure you stay hydrated. That's another key too. If you can stay hydrated, you can beat the heat, and that's a big one right there. Making sure you're reducing strenuous activities, as I mentioned, making sure you're finding shade, AC, and then making sure you're wearing lightweight clothing when you're outside is always good to ensure that you're protecting yourself adequately as you encounter these high heat situations. Now, that's all I have for the latest edition of WeatherWise. As always, if you have questions, I'd be happy to take those on Facebook, on Twitter, or on email. But other than that, you guys have a great one.
WeatherWise is brought to you by Fort County Electric Power Association.